sustainable city planning and management approaches and methodology challenges and perspectives. Maybe some of my colleagues know that actually my background was environmental, so for the last 3 years I've been in charge of municipalities, but before I was in charge of environment agencies for 12 years. So I worked on sustainability for many years in United Arab Emirates. If we look to the technology has changed our lives in every aspect, but when it comes to planning and planning techniques and means have moved mainly from drawing boards and paper to sophisticated planning software. But is that enough? I think that's one of the things which we will see in our conclusions. My presentation basically is I'll have the introduction, then the challenges towards city planning approaches and city planning methodologies, city management approaches, and city management methodologies. And when it comes to prospects, I will be using the same themes, then the conclusion and recommendations. These are some pictures from United Arab Emirates. The first one with the round building, it's a headquarter for one of our biggest real estate development company called the Dar. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go fishing in that area because it used to be a creek and a wetland. But all that area been developed, started with late Sheikh Zayed and then developed by this company. The other one is Sharjah city, which one of the United Arab Emirates main cities. And those also in 60s were deserts and also used to be fishermen villages. When it comes to sustainability, human sustainability and well-being are affected. You know, I'm reading because I've been warned about your time, and that you are very precise about time. So I don't want you to kick me and say we are done. Human sustainability and well-being are affected by the way settlements planned and managed. Chapter 10 of Agenda 21 advocates for an integrated approach, the planning, management, and land resources. So I'm using some of what came in the Habitat Agenda and then sustainability and EFC. So these captions, it's from UN. If we look into that, in 2009, UN Habitat issued publication on sustainable cities planning, where, and as we saw in the video, that I think it's time to rethink the issue of building knowledge on sustainable municipal development and adopting guidelines of the UN Habitat. For contemporary city planning practices, it is known that urban modernism models are problematic built form. Most cities has been shaped by early 20th century. And if we look today to the cities, it's been taken another angle where mega developers and mega projects start driving those cities toward unsustainable approaches. So we find theme parks, retail centers, leisure centers, and those are mainly promoted by developers because that's where the land value increases. However, this model of built form cannot produce cities that are environmentally sustainable or socially inclusive. The challenges facing planners nowadays are formidable due to urban and rural complexity and socio-economic and environmental problems, actions and solutions. What was hoped in the early 90s is the integration of of the principles and guidelines of sustainable development reflected in Agenda 21 and Habitat Agenda into the traditional planning approaches, where little was achieved in this respect. The evolution of sustainable development principles and doctrine has changed the path of history and development, changed the way we think, plan, design, implement, and manage. This has been strengthened by the information technology revolution. In 1996, the UN Habitat Agenda was born in Istanbul. There were high expectations for change in the way human settlements are envisioned, planned, designed, and managed, based on the principles set in Habitat Agenda and other international instruments. As a result of that new paradigm of sustainable development, the world faced a magnificent challenge to face the need for change and dealing with the resources and ecosystems. Bridging gaps had become a serious issue in many sectors within one country and even sometimes within one organization and between clusters of countries. Planning approaches and methodologies play a significant role in bridging several types of gaps. These are principles also from the UN. Sustainable urban development would require considerably more ambitious policies than today in order to limit energy consumption, reduce pollution, and protect natural areas and arable lands. Reuse of urban areas and more effective utilization of buildings. Planning for sustainable urban development must be oriented toward long-term goals and utilize knowledge about the environmental consequences of different solutions. Outdated city and traditional models have negative effects on people, government, economy. Methodologies of such models follow the same failing path. Looking at innovative models in reality reveal success in their approaches, methodologies, research and knowledge buildings, and funding opportunities. City management approach and influenced directly by planning approaches, knowledge and management skills play a vital role in shaping city management approach that is also affected primarily by the political governance system. Thousands of cities, their societies and economies suffers from malfunctioned city management approaches. City and their societies across planet, particularly in low and medium incomes, suffer deeply from unsustainable form of cities management methodologies, where the interest of people does not come first. Political will and support, knowledge, skill, research and funding resources pose great challenges to sustainable city development. Now we are getting into the prospects. This is one of the pictures also on Yas Island, which also it's Yas Hotel, one of considered to be one of the green buildings in Abu Dhabi, and that's been a lot of efforts being taken in building that hotel, and it comes directly on the Formula One race So there is a hope for optimism for a future full prosperity once all conditions are improved. These are some prospects which comes into the 10th principle adopted by the UN Habitat, a solid foundation for countries and cities to rethink their approaches and methodologies in planning their cities on the basis of sustainable development. These integrated principles had to be translated into action plans. Planners must design and manage cities primarily for people, especially children and elderly people. UN Habitat sets a pathway towards sustainable and better city management. We all should seek partnership with UN Habitat and UN divisions on sustainable development. It's our opportunity to reform the city planning methodologies. Before Habitat 3 conference in 2016, where we can report success stories. Through years, planner developed more than 4 models and around 43 methods. Here is an example used by Akito Mariyama from Japan. As we see, he used these distinctive methods, the scientific, creative, and political methods. The prospect here is undertake research and studies on integration available methodologies in a way commensurate with the principle already set of sustainable city planning by international agencies. The prospects for improving and promoting city management approaches are ample due to the wealth of knowledge and experience gained in developed countries and cities, as well as academic research institutions. This will certainly lead a strategic change into the what and how we link and promote planning and research. This is an area that developing cities have serious weaknesses on. Here again, we have to reassess the value of research into city management methodologies and engage main stakeholders in promoting these valuable elements for city sustainable development. Post-World War II, to conclude from the layman's view, we could broadly that the city planning development process went through the 3 main stages. Starting with physical planning, it goes from 1950 to the 60s, which was mainly technical, and then urban planning, which was mixed between technical and social, and then eventually sustainable development since the Earth Summit in Brazil. This also there are literature is full with planning models and theories. Here is one review which consists of 4 models and 9 theories of urban planning. This slide reflects the independency level of models relation to political governance system, which is centralized bottom up and decentralized top down, and world diversity level low or high, as well as the rationality level. And this slide also shows evaluation process of the planning models and theories between 1950 and 2000. We should think deeply where do our cities stand in relation to these models and theories, and how should cities decides on the best model approach and methodology of its planning process. I'm using some examples about UAE and what we are doing with UAE, mainly Abu Dhabi and Abu Dhabi municipalities, where we talk as these are, I'm sure some of you are aware, we have 3 major municipalities in Abu Dhabi, which has different also, we can call centers. But now recently the government decided that they will have different centers which we called Abu Dhabi services, which will take all Abu Dhabi government services and put it under one umbrella. And that is based on the geographical location and also the demographical density. And these are the design, the transformation municipal system which recently been designed, focusing mainly on satisfied customer, which are the people, where we'll have mainly utilization of technologies and reaching people, and deploying services in all location, and focus on customers, where we'll have all these services, and even people will have services get services from home, and transform the culture. Because to move this way, it has a lot of cultural challenges, especially a country with around 180 different nationalities. And this how we will be focusing mainly on areas. So there will be packages like family packages, home, which is residential, and what is availability and real estate and values, the economy, the participation, the identity, which is like social security and all, and the society, what services people can and get from the society, education, and the health. So to conclude, this is an overview picture of Masdar city. I don't know if some of you are aware, but this is one of the neutral carbon emission cities in the world, which is a lot of it under construction now, and that's mainly in Abu Dhabi city and managed by Masdar company. To conclusion, in general, city planning process, particularly in developing countries, is relatively unsustainable, lacking comprehensiveness of inclusion and of socio-economic and environmental issues, and needs integration procedures and activities conformity with relevant international instruments. The second, approaches and methodologies for sustainable city planning, particularly in developing countries, lack of participatory principles, and require extensive research, reach-out communication, and promotion. In general, there is a relative knowledge gap between city planners and outcomes of main UN summit. And I believe this is a global issue, not only in developing countries, on sustainable development, particularly the provision on city planning and management. Capacity on sustainable city planning in developing countries is either lacking, limits, or inadequate, as well as being well below expectation. There is an absence of genuine examination of instinctive human behavior and needs from much city planning. There is an urgent need for intensive applied research into sustainable city planning at regional, national, and local level. Several low and medium income countries are still adhering to physical planning approach and methodologies. Others follow urban planning approach. Very few developing countries adopted sustainable city planning approaches, methodologies. This is a serious challenge facing cities at international, regional, national, and local levels. Facing challenges of change created by the requirements stipulated in Agenda 21 and Habitat Agenda, sustainable municipal and urban development necessitates cities to rethink their current approaches to and methodologies of sustainable city planning. Sustainable and holistic approaches and methodologies for urban and city planning are needed by the majority of human settlements through the world. The recommendations: city planning approaches and methodologies in developing countries have to be promoted in line with the principles of and guidelines on sustainable development, particularly Agenda 21, United Nations Framework for Climate Change, Habitat Agenda, Millennium Development Goals, and Johannesburg Plan for Implementation, the Rio Plus 10 Outcome Document, and the Global Plan on Road Safety at regional, national, and local levels. Regional in-depth assessment of city planning include approach and methodologies have to urgently be planned, prepared, and undertaken in cooperation with the relevant international, regional, and national and local agencies. Assessment result to have feed in the ongoing preparatory process global campaign for the United Nations Habitat 3 conference. Regional conferences on the role of city planning, approaches and methodologies have to be considered and organized prior to the UN Habitat 3 conference in 2013. Universities and academic institutions across the world have to seriously study the possibilities to promote knowledge, curricula, and courses on sustainable planning approaches methodologies. Planning approaches on methodologies for sustainable cities should include balanced weights on environmental, economic, and social community planning issues, provided that strong political commitment supported and secured. Thank you very much.